You probably have one on your desk right now, maybe tucked behind your ear or rolling around in a drawer. A simple yellow pencil. You've used hundreds of them in your lifetime, scribbled through countless exams, doodled in boring meetings, jotted down grocery lists, and you've never once questioned it. But here's something that might surprise you. That iconic yellow color? It wasn't chosen because it's bright, easy to spot, or cheerful. It was chosen to trick you, to make you believe you were buying something premium when you weren't. The yellow pencil is one of the most successful marketing deceptions in history, and it has everything to do with a country thousands of miles away. To understand why pencils turned yellow, we need to go back to the 1800s. Back then, pencils came in all colors: red, green, natural wood. Nobody cared what color a pencil was. What they cared about was the graphite inside. And the best graphite in the world came from one place: China. Specifically, the Siberian region bordering China, where miners extracted the purest, smoothest graphite known to humanity. Chinese graphite became legendary among writers, artists, and draftsmen. A pencil with Chinese graphite meant smoother lines, darker marks, and no scratching. Then American manufacturers saw an opportunity. In 1890, a Czech company called Koh-i-Noor introduced a pencil that would change everything. They painted it bright yellow and named it after a famous diamond. But the color wasn't random. In Chinese culture, yellow represented royalty, prestige, and power. The emperor himself wore yellow. By painting their pencils yellow, manufacturers weren't just adding color. They were sending a message: this pencil contains premium Chinese graphite. Other companies quickly copied the strategy. Within a decade, yellow became synonymous with quality pencils in America. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Making a pencil yellow requires a surprisingly complex process that adds cost without adding any functional value. The journey starts with a cedar plank, about 18 centimeters long and 6 millimeters thick. Workers cut grooves into the wood, precisely half the diameter of a pencil core. The graphite core itself is a mixture of graphite powder and clay, ground together for up to 3 weeks until the particles reach microscopic size, around 15 to 20 micrometers. More clay means a harder pencil. More graphite means a softer, darker line. This mixture gets extruded into thin rods, baked at about 1000 degrees Celsius, then dipped in wax to help it glide smoothly across paper. Workers lay these cores into the grooves carefully, glue another grooved plank on top, then slice the sandwich into individual pencils. Each one passes through a shaping machine that carves the familiar hexagonal shape, spinning at nearly 4,000 rotations per minute. Now comes the yellow part. The pencil receives between 4 and 8 coats of lacquer, each layer dried separately under controlled humidity. The lacquer typically contains lead-free pigments now, though older pencils often use toxic lead chromate to achieve that specific sunny shade. Each coat must cure for approximately 2 hours before the next application. The ferrule, that metal band holding the eraser, gets crimped on using precisely calibrated pressure. Too tight and the wood cracks. Too loose and the eraser falls out during use. Finally, rubber or synthetic eraser material gets inserted and secured. One pencil factory produces around 2 million pencils per day, each one painted yellow, each one carrying forward a marketing decision made over 100 years ago. But here's what makes this story stranger. Walk into a stationery shop in Germany, and the pencils are dark green or natural wood. In Japan, you'll find soft pastels and earth tones. British pencils often come in traditional red and black. Yellow pencils? Rare. The yellow obsession is almost entirely American. The rest of the world never bought into the myth. They chose pencils based on actual performance, brand reputation, or simply what looked nice. Only American consumers got programmed to believe yellow equals quality. One country, one marketing trick, over a century of conditioning. Here's where the story flips. The very companies that invented the yellow scheme eventually got trapped by it. When Koh-i-Noor tried launching pencils in other colors during the 1960s, sales collapsed. Customers rejected them instantly, not because they performed worse. They performed identically, but a green pencil or a red pencil just felt cheap. The lie had become truth. Manufacturers had programmed generations so effectively that they could no longer sell anything else. They became prisoners of their own deception. This is bigger than pencils. What Koh-i-Noor discovered in 1890 is a pattern that runs through modern marketing. Color signals quality without delivering it. You see it everywhere. Wine bottles with heavier glass feel more expensive. Coffee bags in matte black suggest premium roasts. Smartphones in gold or rose tint cost more for identical hardware. None of these colors change the product inside. They change how you perceive it. The yellow pencil was patient zero for this psychological trick. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Next time you're shopping, watch yourself. Do you reach for the yellow pencil even when cheaper alternatives sit right beside it? Do you assume the darker packaging means better quality? Do you pay extra for colors that signal nothing real? That 1890 marketing team didn't just sell pencils. They mapped a vulnerability in human psychology that companies still exploit today. The yellow pencil trained your parents. Your parents trained you. And unless you break the pattern, you'll train the next generation too. That pencil on your desk has been lying to you your entire life. A silent yellow con artist. And now you finally see it. That's the process. We reveal how things actually work, one story at a time. If there's something you'd like us to explore next, let us know. Until then, trust the process.